G'day guys, welcome back to Play on Footy. Today we're going to be looking at the Gold Coast Suns. Look, this team has a lot to prove, and a lot of it stems from the fact that Damien Hardwick took over a couple of years back. He wants to be making sure that this team does something that can get them into finals. Now, there was a big signing, and we'll get to that in a sec. I'll also get to in a sec where I think this team will finish in 2025. They do have a fair bit of youth injected into the team, as well as some experienced players that have come on board, such as Daniel Rioli, John Noble, that can actually give them a greater run from halfback to the forward line and so forth to convert some important goals. But firstly, let's start off with the big signing over the offseason. That it was Mac Andrews. So he got a big contract. I think it was 11 million over 7 years or something around that area or length. And he was one of their shining bright lights. There was a standout game for him versus I think it was Essendon at Marvel Stadium, and he was quite simply probably the best on ground for the Suns. He definitely stood up when it mattered. He converted quite seamlessly as well. So, for me, I think, that's pretty promising signs from him. And I think, going forward, to have someone of his caliber at the Suns is just, outstanding. So I think for him to be locked away from, under Dimma's guidance, I think is pretty good. But in addition to that, not only did they lock him away, we got John Noble from Collingwood. He unfortunately and infamously missed the 2023 AFL Grand Final. It was pretty hard done by, in my opinion. I think he's a great addition to the Suns, and they're just who they need. Like, he's basically what they need currently. So, in addition to him, obviously Sam Flanders, as you can see here, had a great year last year. He is managing a bit of a back soreness at the moment, which isn't too great. But overall, I think he'll be ready to go come round one. In addition to him, Jed Walter, he's an up and coming forward. They do need that. King is a bit on and off. Unfortunately, Ben King, and I think, with Jed Walter to come up through the ranks and to play really well, which we know he can, I think the sky's the limit, to be honest with you, with this team. Another guy that's a bit underrated, in my opinion, is Alex Davies. Now, he had an okay year last year. He probably was still trying to learn his role. He's playing a bit more inside mid, but he has before played more sort of outside mid. Um, but yeah, look, I think he can be someone who hangs around long term for the Suns under Dimmer's guidance. I think he definitely represents a lot of upside. I really want, similarly to Carlton as well, I want this side and I want Dimmer to be playing more of the youth. I think, you don't want to go too young because then you don't want to be too, you don't want to throw too much inexperience. But I think where the Suns are now, and similarly where the Blues are, they do still want their core sort of leadership group to lead them from the front, but then also they want these young guys to really stand up. And one of their leaders is Alex Sexton for the Suns. I mean, he was one of their quote unquote swingmen. Go back, go forward. And at the beginning of fantasy last year, he was really the guy that sort of snuck under everyone's radar and sort of came up through the ranks. And, I actually happened to have him as well on my team, and he was very fruitful. But yeah, I think, it's great to have a Sexton in your team that does have that, I guess, maturity. And also, he just knows what works and what doesn't for the team. He was taken in and out of the side by Dimmer, again, probably through different sort of game styles that Sexton was trying to adapt to, but obviously failed under Dimmer. But also, Dimmer was moving a lot of magnets last year, and I think this year will be good for the Suns. I've got a good feeling about them. Also, Nick Holman. So he did all right as well here and there. He's just a good un and under midfielder that knows what he's doing most of the time. And he does represent a lot of upside. So, it's good to have him in the side. Also, Ben Ainsworth, Took Miller. He's going to have a big season this year. Took, he's been really close to the Brownlow a couple of years. He's a all in all great competitor. You know, we just have to watch this space with him this year. Elliot Himmelberg's coming from Adelaide Crows, so again another mature aged forward who is seeking more opportunity. And at Adelaide, he probably was underdone most weeks, and he was in a side under Nicks that was again really nor here nor there. And I think that would have been frustrating for him. So to come to the Suns where they really were really wanting a key forward because they've lost the coaches now to Port Adelaide. The coaches obviously probably didn't want to be under Dimma for much longer, and so he's moved to Port. But to have Elliot Himmelberg, another South Australian coming from South Australia to Gold Coast, I think filled the gap pretty nicely. Um, but yeah, to help Ben King really, I think is the main objective there, and Jed Walter as well to be a bit of a filler inner. Lockie Weller, yeah, you just can't go wrong. He's getting to the tail end of his career, but he still represents great value for the Suns in defence for them. Noel Anderson, obviously the captain. So yeah, he's the new captain of the Suns. Great for him. But yeah, he's definitely going to be finding a lot of the pill this year. And I definitely believe that, he's definitely the right captain for the Suns so far. But yeah, we'll see what happens for the rest of the year. Thomas Berry, yeah, he had a pretty good year last year. He had missed a couple of games here or there through injury, but overall was pretty consistent. He's definitely going to be one to watch. I don't know if in fantasy terms, but there's another guy called Joe Berry for Port Adelaide who's in my side for AFL fantasy. So there's a hot tip for you guys. But yeah, Thomas Berry is he's going to be a personal watch this year for the Suns. Dan Rioli, come over from the Tigers, left the sinking ship, as did Baker and Graham. But yeah, he's come to the Suns, and yeah, he's looking for a new opportunity, more opportunity to his old coach Dimma, and I think that was a smart move by him. Hopefully, he can get his body right and get on the park for season 2025. Matt Rao, same thing. Hopefully, he doesn't get poached by the end of the season. But this is why it's so pivotal for this year for the Suns to actually click. There's not one grand finalist that has won the grand final that plays the next year with the same team. Most of the time, they do have one or two leave the nest. I think it's time for the Suns to take full responsibility and take accountability and control of the situation, and definitely see 2025 as the golden year for them. I definitely see it. You know, my tip for 2025, I think Brisbane are going to be still up there. I think Freo are going to be quite underdogs. I think a lot of people don't really rate Freo, but this year could be Freo's year. And the Suns, I think the Suns will surprise a lot of people. I think they will be um, something of a bit of a Hawks of last year sort of thing, in my opinion. So definitely watch this space. Ethan Reid, I saw him in the ruck last year. He did pretty well. So they put him here as a key forward. So he might have a forward ruck role with Wits. So we'll have to wait and see. Ned Moyle as well. He did quite well backing up Wits. Wits had a couple of injuries last year. So, and Wits is getting to the end of his career as well. So between Ethan Reid and Ned Moyle, I think they will be very exciting ruckmen for the Suns going forward. Ben Long came from Saints to Suns last year or the year before. I can't remember. But yeah, he did okay. He missed a couple of shots on goal, which I thought he would have converted last year. So I think an improvement of his goal kicking will definitely be great help for the team. David Swallow getting to the end of his career this year, and Sam Collins to a degree. But yeah, these guys are the leadership that the Suns desperately need. Will Graham played more on the wing, a little bit off half back last year. It was actually quite exciting to see. Obviously, Will Power had that gay slur sort of infringement placed upon him from comments he made. So that opened up Will Graham to play more into Will Power's role. I thought Graham did exceptionally well. Again, he just needs to keep having those opportunities. Wits, yep, as I said earlier, he's getting to the end of his career, but still is a great leader, ex-captain of the Suns. Jake Rogers, definitely one to watch in that forward line. Very dangerous operator, so definitely one to watch. Leonardo Lombard and Cooper Bell, the new recruits. Lombard should be able to get a game this season, so definitely watch him. If he's not in your AFL fantasy, add him in there. Bodie Hewlin and Sam Cloesi, these guys are so exciting to watch. I can't wait for this year to see those guys and what roles Dimma has for them. I think it's going to be really exciting. Ben King, as I said, just needs a bit of hand in the forward line there. So definitely watch out for him. Joel Jeffrey's another one. He's very exciting, as well as Malcolm Roses, on how they move the ball ultimately. And I think, yeah, definitely one to watch going forward. And that's the rest of the team there. But what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe. Where do you think that the Suns will finish up? I reckon they're going to be finishing just inside the 8. I've got them probably 7th, to be honest. I know that might be a little bit rich, but I do have high hopes for them. I think that they can foster something, and I am optimistic for the Suns. But what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.